Welcome back to Circle and Faith. I'm your host, Christine Barella, and I'm delighted that you're joining me this evening. And if you're a first time listener or viewer, I just want to welcome you to a community of women why we believe in faith, resilience, and God's unfailing love. And if you're a returning listener or viewer, I want to thank you for walking alongside of me in our faith journey together. And tonight, ladies, I have an amazing guest. So, Nikki, welcome. So
Hi.
glad you're with us tonight. And Nikki, no doubt, is going to share an amazing inspirational story. She is such a strong woman of God, and she has so many God stories. But I believe, Nikki, you've narrowed it down to one that you want to share tonight, correct?
Honestly, it's the one that sits heaviest on my heart.
Okay.
It's about my mom, and she was my best friend. So if there's
Okay.
anybody that I should speak on tonight, everything that I do these days is because of her.
Okay.
So if I should speak on anybody tonight, to honor God, it should be her.
Oh, that's awesome. So, but before we dive into your story, Nikki, you also own your own wealth management company, and
Yes, so I own a company called Nicolette Management,
Mhm.
and I am a licensed insurance broker and certified wealth educator, and I focus on helping families strategically place themselves through a variety of programs, right? I help with health and life insurance, and I focus on helping families not only obtain cost effective health insurance, but different types of life insurance that helps them with mortgage protection, college savings, income for life, retirement, different types of benefits like that. I also help with credit repair, debt resolution, and I am getting ready to open up my own tax office. I'm actually in the process of setting up my tax software now. And then I also partner with local businesses. Well, they're not actually all local because one of the businesses I work with is actually in another time zone. So I work with several businesses to do all of the things that they need behind the scenes. So setting up automations, helping with web design, just making sure their books and accounting and everything is all in order.
Yeah, wow. Well, congratulations on opening up your new tax office. That is so exciting.
Thank you. I am very excited. God is so good.
Yes, absolutely. And so just tell us, before we dive into your story, tell a little bit about yourself. Besides, I know you are an entrepreneur, so you're working like crazy, but what would you like the viewers to know? Do you have any children, animals? Like, what do you like to do when you have
Oh,
spare time? If you,
well, I don't have a whole lot of spare time. But the benefit to that is I've learned how to do um a career that I love. I've built a career that I love around the people that I love. So it gives me the flexibility to do most of my work from home. I do have two small children, a 6 year old and a 9 year old. They are absolutely my world. And I can say that whenever there is a chaperone needed for a field trip or a school play, or they need an extra volunteer in the cafeteria, I am there for all of it. Mom doesn't miss a beat, all while doing all of this other stuff. And if I can do it, believe me when I tell you, anybody can. So it's
uh,
very possible.
yeah, the benefits of being an entrepreneur for sure. You can kind of create your own schedule and do the things that are important to you. So that's very encouraging. That's awesome.
It is. Now, I don't want to make it sound like it's all, sunshine and roses. Being an entrepreneur, a lot of people think when they become self-employed that the paychecks are going to just start rolling in, kind of like when you're a W-2 employee. They don't understand the 60 hours of unpaid work that you do every week for the first 3 or 4 years, depending on what kind of business you're in, to build the client base and to create your products and to get those reviews and to get recognized and, really become a position of authority in whatever industry that you're in. So it is not easy by any means. It is absolutely challenging, but it has been worth every single step, every single challenge, every single hurdle. And I'm 4'10". I'm not a very tall person. So when we start talking about hurdles, it's serious, right? But every single hurdle that I have jumped over has been absolutely worth it. I wouldn't trade a second of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I know it's definitely a lot of hard work. And so good job. I'm excited
Thank
for
you.
you and what God has in store for you from all your hard work. So,
Thank you
all
so much.
right. So, how about if we dive into the story that you feel God is leading you share tonight?
Let's do that.
Okay.
Before we get I apologize. I'm gonna just take a sip of my tea. I'm kind of
Sure.
fighting a sinus infection. My voice is a little
Absolutely.
So I
Yeah.
apologize to the viewers. I'm sorry, but now you know my drama. It's getting me right now.
Yeah, it's been lingering for a while, so it's
Listen, God is so good, but He can't protect you from everything. Like these seasonal allergies that turn into sinus infections. Like if there could be one thing I wish God could just like take away from me, it would be that. Just it's fine.
yeah.
Okay. So my God story is about my mom.
Mm,
She was my best friend, and I keep referring to her in the past tense because I lost her in 2018.
sorry.
Um, the
Mm,
crazy thing is, she had been sick for a little while, living with me because she was finding it hard to keep a job being so sick because it was hard for her to keep a job. It was hard for her to get insurance.
right.
And I was bartending at the time. I was working IT for Oracle, and I was putting in like 60, 70 hours a week, and I had just had my oldest son. Um, Now, mind you, I had him in my 30s as a high risk pregnancy after 4 miscarriages. My doctors told me I would never have children. So now, when I'm working 70 hours after having my first child that doctors told me I would never have, that was just unacceptable. So I quit working IT for Oracle, started bartending, and now my mom is sick. So she comes to live with me. So I've got my newborn and my mom, and I'm financially responsible for all of it. And we just couldn't get my mom insurance. So we started working with an insurance broker who's like, I got you. I got you. Don't worry about it. You're in good hands. And October of 2018, we had he's now 9, but we had my son's second birthday party, and my mom, it was Ninja Turtle themed, and we were all dressed up as our designated Ninja Turtle, and my mom was running around with my son. Like, I mean, oh, it was like she loved him more than she loved me, and I never thought she would love anyone or anything more than she loved me. So it was really beautiful. And 2 weeks later, she was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. 3 weeks later, she was dead. Just like
Wow.
that.
That's
So
awful.
December 7th of 2018, about 7 o'clock in the morning, I lost my mom. I lost my best friend.
I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay.
Um, Now you have to understand, my mom loved God. My
Mm,
mom was a very God-fearing woman.
mm,
And growing up, that was something I was not,
mm,
because I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness and in my childhood. And when we moved from Nevada, I God story for another day and all the ways that he kept me alive. My mom moved me from Connecticut to Arizona, and then she met a man, and they ended up getting married, and he moved us out to Nevada, and that's where I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. And
mm,
then when I was 12, we moved to South Florida, and the first church my mom took me to was a Catholic church.
mm.
So as a 12-year-old, you can imagine the head spin of going from a Jehovah's Witness household to a Catholic household. You're like, I'm sorry, wait, what?
Yeah.
Um, so after we left that church, I was like, so how about no? Like, I'm not doing this again. Like, I wasn't crazy about the whole Jehovah's Witness thing as I was coming into age and being able to understand things. So I had, as a 12-year-old, asked my mom to take me to a couple different churches and just kind of let me see for myself.
Yeah.
And so we did. So we went to a couple different churches, and she asked me, what did I think? What church did I want to go to? And I told her none of them. I said, because they all seem the same thing. They all preach the same thing: love God, honor thy mother and father, thou shalt not kill. But then they go around killing people in the name of their God. And that just seems hypocritical. And like, I'm not that.
Mhm.
So I just pulled away from religion for a very long time. And after I lost my mom, God was the last person that I wanted
Mm,
anything to do with. Like, she loved him so much, and he took her from me. Like,
right.
how cruel?
Right. Yeah.
So I had a real problem with God for a little while.
Mhm.
a real problem with God. Um, 2 months, almost 2 months to the day, I had started self-medicating. Just
Mm.
FYI, I was a bartender. Alcohol was in close proximity, and
Yeah,
it
of
was it was
course.
just easy. So I
Yeah.
started self-medicating,
Yeah.
and about 2 months to the day that I lost my mom, I found out that I was pregnant.
Mm.
And that just hit me like a ton of bricks because I hadn't finished dealing with the postpartum from my first son
Right.
because I was taking care of him and taking care of my mom. And now I'm grieving my mom and now I'm pregnant again.
Right.
And it just, so it was like, I remember one night I cried so hard
Mm.
and I want to say that I was praying, but it was more like I was talking to my mom and yelling at God,
Mm.
because I didn't understand. Like,
Right.
you took four babies away from me while my mom was alive, right? And
Mm.
then gave me one for 2 years just to take her from me to
Right.
now give me another one. And like, how am I supposed to do this without her? Like,
Right.
again, stories for another day, but like, most of my family is all deceased now. But
Mm.
even if they were alive, my grandmother tried to kidnap me from my mom as a baby. Like, I don't come from a family dynamic where like I have a village. I'm on my own. It's me, you
Right.
know? So it God, and I had an even further problem with God after I was pregnant with my second son. He owed me an explanation.
Mm.
But in the midst of all of this, COVID happened.
Mm.
And as a bartender, well, you know what happened to the bartenders?
Yep.
We got shut down.
Wow. Yep.
And oddly enough, right, people like me who were shut down and actually deserving of the unemployment and the checks that were going out, I did not get any of them. But I know teachers who wouldn't have been getting paid because it, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was summertime. You guys wouldn't have been getting a check anyway, but they were getting a check. They were approved for unemployment. But here I am with two kids and no job and no, like, I was like, this is,
What else, God?
you
What
know what I
else?
mean? Like,
What?
God, you have some real explaining to do.
Yeah.
Um,
He was really
and
trying
then
to get your
it,
attention, I think.
I really felt like I was at my lowest,
Mhm.
darkest. I
Yeah.
mean, I was in a dark place.
Yeah.
I was scared, and I started doing all the things, right? Like, I started reading self-help books, and I told myself I would never do therapy, but then I tried a therapist, and I actually went through several therapists, and didn't feel a connection with any of them. So
Mhm.
finally, I tried this program through UCF, and if you're a Florida local, you'll know that that's University of Central Florida. I live
Mhm.
in Winter Park, which is one of the suburbs for Orlando. So UCF is right down the street, right? Like, it's literally, I could probably walk to the UCF campus from where I live. Um, so that being said, I decided to take part in one of their programs, and I met this therapist that she was fabulous. I mean,
Mhm. Awesome.
she really turned my world upside down. Like, she just really helped me through so much. And on the session that I confessed, one of my biggest heartaches to her that I had never told anybody, that I would have told my mom had my mom still been alive, but it was pertaining to the loss of my mom. Um, at the end of that session, she told me that her class schedule was being rearranged and she was no longer going to be able to be my therapist. And so I hung up with that session and I cried and I looked at God and I was like, like, just when I thought you had put like the cherry on the cake, on the, the icing on the top and then the cherry on the top, like, now we're just going to add some sprinkles. Like, we might as well just turn it into a whole confetti banana split party and just like call my life the disaster that it is, because
Oh, gosh.
what do you mean? So I was very in my feelings. But within all of this, again, Well, I don't think we were recording at the time, but when I'm stressed out and I feel like I'm overwhelmed, I like to learn and do things that are creative. So, if I showed you my book collection, I have three bookcases that are all five shelves, and each shelf is like packed with books. I have probably over 300 books. I have 40 something books in an audio collection. I like to learn. I'm constantly taking certifications, which is why I'm a licensed insurance broker and a certified wealth educator, and I have my PTIN, and I'm about to get QuickBooks certified, and, right? So, that's just what I do. Like, that's my go-to release. So I just, I started doing that, and that's when I stumbled upon, um, so I had started applying for work from home positions, and I got and I'll leave names out to protect, the people that it is. But I was recruited by a highly regarded insurance company. They said they had found my resume on LinkedIn, and they were very impressed by it. And I have a very strong backing. I spent a lot of years as a corporate sales trainer, and doing a lot of work in IT. I have a lot of experience in like PowerPoint design and educational content design. So they were very impressed by like my sales and training background, and they
Mhm.
thought I would be a fabulous candidate to come work with them, and they offered to pay to get my license, for me to get my 215 license.
Wow.
So I was like, you know what? Okay, let's do this. Because it was something that I could do working from home. I figured, as a bartender who, I'm going to know a whole bunch of people who are going to need health and life insurance. I don't know if any of them are going to get approved, based on what I know now about being in the insurance industry. But at the time, it seemed like this is what I need to do. And it seemed like it was just in time, because I was mourning and praying and asking God for an answer. And I realized that it aligned, because God was putting me in a position to be the person to stop people from going through what I went through.
Mm. Yes, isn't that
Right.
what he does? He puts
So,
us through
how
all this because he knows what's on the other end and how, wow, you can help others.
So he really, like, I just had to take a pause for that to show like how he went full circle. Um, because the woman who was a the insurance broker that we were dealing with, right, who was like, I got you, I got you, I got you. Like, when my mom died, my mom had no health insurance. My mom had no life insurance, because I was paying all of her medical bills. I almost couldn't afford her. She wanted to be cremated. The urn that she is in, to this day, my roommate at the time actually paid for.
Mm.
And he is now also in heaven, rest his soul.
Mm.
But that just shows you, you know what I mean? So God was like, when I came to him and I pray, and I'm not one to pray. Did a lot of yelling at God, you know what I mean? Um, but like I said, I broke down. I was in a really dark spot, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? And like a couple of days later, I get this insurance company like, and we'll pay for it. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Like, it was meant to be. Like, I'm one of those people, when when God, if God is going to give me a message, I'm not very good at reading between the lines or figuring it out, right? Like, if he's going to give me a sign, I need it to have the neon flashing lights, like, hey, spacehead, look here. You know what I mean? Because I'm so, I call it squirrel syndrome. Like, I've never been diagnosed ADHD, but try to tell that to my squirrel habits. I try to do, like, multitasking is not a thing in my world. Like, I will completely forget what I'm doing and start doing something else. And, I'll start writing an essay, and by the time I'm done, I'm raking out in the backyard, and I'm like, how did I get here? And I can't
Yeah.
remember any of the pieces that got me there.
Right.
So that's why I have a calendar that runs my life and all of the things. My calendar literally tells me what to do all day long. And some people can't stand that, but it's
Also, another reason why you're so creative. A lot of individuals who have ADHD are very creative.
really, well,
Yes,
that's good to know. I had no idea.
very creative.
But
Yes.
I mean, obviously, you can tell by our conversation, because I don't know how to stay on track.
Oh, you're good. And I just want to pause for a moment because, I just you referred to yelling at God. You know what? God can handle it. You were talking to him. He knows our heart anyway. So ladies, if you're out there and you're angry at God, don't hold it in. Like he's a big boy. He can handle it. And he already knows that you're angry with him, but he wants us to talk to him or yell at him. He can handle it. And then he knows that you desire something from him, even though you're yelling. And look, he gave it to you, Nikki, in LinkedIn.
He did.
He said, here
And
you go.
he gives
And
you things in ways greater than you can even imagine. And
yes,
sometimes he doesn't give you what you ask for. That's typically a blessing in disguise, right? And that's something that I've learned in this process as well.
yep.
Um, it, it's been a lot of learning. Um, but now, right, I'm in this beautiful space, and to just bring the story to full circle, wouldn't you know it that one day it was actually my children. Now, I've spent a lot of years outside of church, and I've had, again, a lot of hard feelings, and while I would have a conversation with God, you wouldn't catch me walking into a church several years ago. um I want to say it was 3 years ago now. My boys asked me about church.
Mm.
There is not a person on this planet aside from my mom that would have been able to get me to walk into a church until I had my children.
And God
So
knew.
when my children were like, "Can we go to church?" I was like, "What? What do you mean?" Okay. So trying to be a good mom, right? Like I don't ever want to force a decision on my children, right? I want to let them choose for themselves, just like my mom respected me enough to do for me.
Mhm.
Um, So I did the only thing that I could think of, and we drove around and all the churches like close in our neighborhood. Well, not just in our neighborhood, but corresponding neighborhoods. And we looked, and I was like, "Do you like this church?" And they were like, "No, that one looks small. No, that one's big. Oh, maybe this one." And then we drove past one, and I'm like, "How about this one?" And they're like, "No, that one looks haunted." And I was like, "All right." So, at the end of the day, driving around all these churches, we really hadn't narrowed it down to anything. And my boys were like, "Well, Auntie Michelle goes to church." And I'm like, "Yeah, she does." And my oldest was like, "Well, can we call her and see what church she goes to?" And I was like, "All right, let's do that," because she's right on our wavelength. Like, she is, oh man, I would be so lost without that woman. I mean, she was in the delivery room when I delivered my second son. If I would have known her, she's the cousin of, so my boys have different fathers. The father of my first son, he was abusive. So that didn't work out, obviously. Thank God, and I'm still alive. Thank you. So there's that. She's the cousin of my youngest son's father.
Okay.
And she is just absolutely a godsend. So I called her and I asked her, I'm like, "What church do you go to? Because the boys would really like to attend church where you attend church." And she's like, "Oh, well, I go to this church. Oh, I'm going to advocate for them because I love my church." She's like, "I go to Journey Church."
Yep.
And I was like, "The one in Fern Park, the old Highlight building?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Wouldn't you know it? That's the one the boys said looked haunted." So I turn around and I look at the boys and I'm like, "So Auntie goes to the haunted church." And they were like, "Well, I guess we're trying the haunted church." And I was like, "I guess we're trying the haunted church." And we have now been proud members of that church for several years at this point.
Yep.
Um, my son and I both were just baptized this past
Um,
October.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. And they have a rule. So in order for minors to be baptized, they have to go through a baptism class,
Mhm.
and just talk about God and understand like the reasons why people get baptized. And, they have to give their reasons why they would want to be baptized. And when my 9-year-old asked if he could get baptized, I have to be honest, in full transparency, I said yes. One, I wanted him to get baptized. But I really didn't think he was going to be able to successfully answer these questions because I serve at church. I'm actually one of the teachers in the J Kids area. So I get to peek in on him, and I know he's never paying attention in sermon. You know what I mean? So in my mind, I'm like, this kid's not going to be able to answer any of these questions. And wouldn't you know it, he got every question right. He got every question right. So when they asked me, did I give my approval for him to be baptized? I was like, how can I not? Like, even his answers as to why he wanted it. I
Wow.
mean, I sat there crying. Like, I was the proudest mom. Like, first of all, I need to also preface, I was never baptized as a child.
Mhm.
Um, so like there's that. So I got baptized as an adult now with my son. So you can imagine the special moment. And
Yeah.
now my 6 year old is jealous and he's like, well, I want to be baptized. But he can't be until he's 7. So this coming October, he will be getting baptized as well. And he is very excited about it.
Oh, that
So
is so awesome. Yeah,
God is so good.
and yeah, he meets us where we're at. So he knew how to get you to church was through your boys. And I had interviewed another gal too, and she went years without the church, and her daughters got her back to church because she said, "I'm done. I'm not." And just like you were like, "No way, too many bad experiences." So, God has a way of working and getting you back home to Him.
He
Um,
does.
yeah, and so ladies, if you're in a bad spot right now, if you're watching or listening, just know God, He's there for you. He's got you. He is going to meet you. Even yell at Him, tell Him what's going on in your life, and just be angry, right? Let it all out so that He can meet you where you're at, and He will come through for you.
I definitely, I used to think that if I yelled at him, he would get angry at me because that's not how you speak to people, right? Like, it's okay to be angry with people and have I tell my boys that all the time, right? Like, it's okay to have big feelings, but you have to be respectful when you have those big feelings and watch how you talk to people. So I used to think that God would get really angry with me when I would yell at him. But in listening to scripture and Pastor JJ at our church, I've actually come to realize that God is the one person it's okay to yell at. Not because he deserves disrespect, but
Right.
because he understands. Because at the end of the day, he knows I bow down at his feet and I pour my oil on him.
Mhm.
I'm giving it all to you. I'm a woman that tithes, right? Like I do all of the things, right? I serve at church, I tithe, I do outreach. Like my boys and I will fill so I also own a nonprofit. I don't talk about it too much. My mom is the reason I became an insurance broker. But
Mhm.
before my mom died, she wanted to start a nonprofit. She wanted to call it Climbing Together, and she wanted to focus on helping the elderly,
Oh,
single parents of young children, homeless, basically those who are the most needy that are typically the most overlooked.
yep.
The business hasn't really taken off too much yet, because when you start a nonprofit, unless you have an amazing business plan, you have to fund it all yourself.
Right.
But God is so good. So when I started Nicolette Management, I also started a business for Climbing Together. So Climbing Together is incorporated.
Okay.
I am funding it all myself.
Right now,
But
God expects
yep,
going to come through, though.
God
Yep.
is so good. So I know something is going to happen.
Yep.
Um, I have been collecting donations from like local single parents or whoever, right? Whoever wants to donate to the cause, and repurposing them. I've helped a couple of homeless parents at this point, and just kind of repurpose some other things. We put a lot of reusable bags with non perishable food in it, and we hand it out to the homeless that are on the street corners. Just recently, we packed up some large suitcases with different types of items, some non-perishable food, bowls, silk, like plasticware, stuff like that, and dropped it off. There's a CVS down the street that has almost like a homeless community forming
Okay.
behind it. So we dropped the suitcases off over there because we felt like that's where it would do the
Oh,
best good
wow. Yeah.
locally. So really at this time, I'm only able to finance it enough to help locally. But again, God is so good. And I know with everything that he has helped me accomplish with Nicolette Management, I know that there is a purpose for that, right? Nicolette Management is going to be able to then essentially help fund Climbing Together. We can use that as a tax write-off. And there will be, benefits and other ways that we can do that. So I know, once this message too reaches the right people, right? I know God's army is going to come to call, right?
Right.
Like this is what we do. God's people, we help each other. So I know that it's just a matter of time, and just a matter of continuing to do right and walk in God's light.
Right. Yeah, you're being the hands and feet of Jesus. And so you are actually being a good steward of what he's given you. And then once he sees that how good you are with what he's given you, he will expand that for you, right? He'll expand your territory. He wants to make sure that, we can handle the things that he gives us. And then he'll decide, can she or he handle it? Oh, yes, they can. I'm going to give them more and give them more because they are really following the call that I've given them. So yeah, he's going to expand your territory beyond your wildest imagination. I am certain, Nikki, for
I
sure.
am so looking forward to it. I
Yeah.
can't wait to just help more people and be able to give back.
Yeah, that's so amazing. So before we wrap up your amazing story, is there anything else you want to share with the viewers or listeners? Any last thoughts?
I mean, I literally could talk forever. So it's not really wise to ask me open-ended questions like that. But yes, honestly, just no matter how angry you are with God or how lost you think you might be with life, um, no matter no matter where you are, right? There's this meme, which is I have used it with my girlfriends as a reference for some other things. And as women, right, you guys will all understand where I'm going with this. But it wasn't until recently that I learned that it also works in your relationship with God. So there was a meme that was circulating on social media, and it was set up very similar to like a comic book where it's a lot of little blocks, right? So it shows two people, and they look like a woman and a man, and the woman is on, so they look like stairs, but the stairs are spaced out taller than what the people are, so you would have to like stack some things to get to the next level, right? So the woman is up here and she's reaching her hand down as if to try to help the gentleman up. And on the last few blocks, it says, he's asking, well, why don't, or she's saying, hey, why don't, grab my hand, I'm trying to help you up, why don't you come up here with me? And he's like, no, I'm comfortable here, why don't you come down here with me? Right? And as a woman, I've often related it to my girlfriends, like, listen, girl, if you're building your empire, don't let no man hold you down. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to come back here because you're complacent where you're at, where you see we're trying to achieve greatness and you just don't want to stay on my level, right? Like, anytime. And I don't care if it's just the woman trying to succeed. It could be the man in the relationship trying to succeed, right? But if you have somebody in the relationship that's not willing to grow with you, then you're going to grow out of them, right? And I feel like that is a lot of what that meme is symbolizing. But when somebody is putting their hand down for you and saying, hey, just, I'm trying to help you up, if you just put your ego to the side and take their hand and take that step up with them, you grow together, right? And it's like that with God. You could be angry and you could be frustrated and God's reaching his hand for you and you could be like, nope, I'm staying right here. The thing about God though, a human, right? If a woman does that to a man or a man does that to a woman or whatever, eventually the person is going to get tired and they're going to be like, fine, stay there then. I'm going to
Right.
just keep climbing. But with God, that doesn't happen,
Right.
right? You could be like, I'm going to stay here. And God will be like, okay, well, I'll be right here for when you're ready. Let me know.
That's right. That's right. He'll wait
You
as long
know what I
as he
mean?
has to
He
wait.
will meet you where you're at and he will sit there with you. And he doesn't care if you want to yell at him for a minute. Because guess what? Somebody nailed him to a cross. You think your words hurt him?
Right.
You think your tone of, he died for you to be able to talk to him that way. You think that hurts him? No. If that's what it's going to take for you to get to the other side, that man is
Right.
there to help you get to the other side.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
That is probably the best 2 cents that I could give to your audience.
Awesome. I love that. Nikki, I want to thank you so much for really being authentic and real and you and just sharing your God story and just really being vulnerable, sharing with us hitting rock bottom and just your honesty about your journey with the Lord and your church hurt. Because I think there's a lot of people that do have some church hurt. And
Oh yeah.
so, yeah, not to give up, to keep finding, a place that you can worship with others. It could be in somebody's home, but really getting in community. What I heard you say was getting in community and serving the Lord together and growing in the Word and the Lord together.
Listen, feeling lonely, as somebody who doesn't have a village, the most impactful change of my life was finding community.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
just just building those connections.
All right, Nikki, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. And ladies, all of her information are going to be in the show notes. So if you want to look in her nonprofit, if you want to, look her up, the wealth management, Nicolette Wealth Management, please do so. She's an amazing woman. And Nikki, again, I just want to thank you so much. And we will talk to you ladies and see you next time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me. You have a blessed evening.
Yes, thank you. You as well.